The worst number in the world for your life is the number 1. By far, the number 1 is the worst number in your life. I am Caleb Jones. This is Alpha Male 2.0, Freedom Focused Lifestyle Design for Men. And a strong component of Alpha Male 2.0 is the concept or technique of redundancy, meaning you don't rely on any one thing to produce a regular needed result in your life. You instead rely on multiple things. So the easiest way that most people understand this is diversifying your investments, right? They say don't put all your money in one basket. Have many different diversified investments so that you're covered. That is the only aspect of redundancy that most normal people understand. Alpha Male 2.0 takes us to the next level. And instead it takes all the aspects of your life and breaks them all out. So in terms of your financial life, let's say that you make money. Let's say you have one source of income, okay? You've got one source of income, that's it. One source. That means you have a job, right? If you have a job, how many sources of income do you have? You got one, right? You have the traditional business. You have a business, a standard business where you sell a product or a certain thing or a narrow line of things. You have one business. So how many income sources do you have? You have one. So what happens if something like COVID-19 comes along, or a bad recession, or the industry changes, or changes in the technology, or changes in the competition, and all of a sudden your one source of income is gone? What happens? You're screwed. You're fucked, right? I learned this really quick. Really quick. Many years ago, back in the 90s, I was talking to some businessmen, and I talked to a guy, really smart guy, very smart, sharp businessman. And he was telling me about, hey, Caleb, you know, everybody has a spare tire for their car in case one of their tires go out. Do you have a spare income? No one worries about that. What I've talked about a lot is people talk about diversifying their investments. Nobody talks about diversifying or virtually nobody talks about diversifying their income. So as I've shown before, what I teach is a business model of 2 to 4 businesses. Don't start one little business, start them one at a time. But over time, your objective is to have 2 to 4 small companies, all spinning off income in diversified industries. So in my example, I've shown this before, I have 3 companies, 3 sources of income. Okay, I have 3 of them. And then underneath all of them, I have multiple streams of income that are semi-related or not related, okay? I've got about 14 of these. So I have 3 sources of income coming from 14 different sources. So if something comes along and a new regulation passes, or there's a pandemic, or there's a recession, or technology changes and now one of those products or services is no longer obsolete, or actually is obsolete now, gotta speak correctly. Let's say one of them is gone, right? So I'm pissed. I don't have a good month that month, but I'm okay because the money keeps coming in from my other 2 sources. Make sense? I don't rely on one source of income. That's stupid. By the way, since the 1990s, the new normal of the 1990s, human beings in the Western world cannot rely long-term on one source of income. If you rely long-term on one source of income, you are not being intelligent. You need multiple sources of income. Now, how many you want and how you configure those is a different topic for another time. The point is, I teach multiple sources of income. You want multiple sources of income. Now, let's change subject completely. Let's talk about girls. Talk about women, right? Let's say you're the typical guy, right? You've got one woman in your life. One. So how many women are you having sex with? One. So you have one source of sex. What happens when, not if, when your wife divorces you? 76% divorce rate in most of the Western world for people who actually get married. The odds are overwhelming at some point. She's going to leave you. 70 to 80% of all divorces are filed by the female. So statistically, women leave men. Men don't usually leave women. Men cheat a lot, but they don't leave. So what happens, or if you have a girlfriend, what happens when, not if, when she gets bored with you or upset with you or tired of you, and she moves on, she dumps your ass and goes for a different guy, which, by the way, women are biologically wired to do. This is what women are wired to do. What happens? You're screwed. Or should I say you're not screwed? You're not having any sex, right? So you are reliant, your entire sex life is reliant on one woman. Why the fuck would you do that? Unless you're a very low sex drive man. You don't really like having sex. Okay, that's an exception. I'm going to make the assumption that you're not in that category, right? So instead, you want several women, okay? At least 2. Let's say 2. Let's be really nice and say 2. I have 3, but let's say we have 2. Fine, so now you have 2 women. Maybe one woman is a girlfriend, an OLTR, and the other one is an FB, friend with benefits. Whatever configuration you want, doesn't really matter. So now you have two. You've got two sources of sex in your life. Sex or female companionship, whatever it is you desire from women. Okay, you got two sources of these things. So when, not if, when one of these two leaves you, maybe your FB goes and gets a boyfriend. She's gone. Are you out of luck? No, you're still having sex. And you have just enough time to bring another one back in, right? Let's say your OLTR breaks up with you, okay? So she's gone. You still have your FB. Cool? Maybe you have 2 or 3 FBs. Maybe you have 2 or 3 MLTRs. Maybe you, like me, you are married. So here's my model as of today, just the last few years. I am married, so I have my wife, and I have 2 FBs. So I have 3 sources. So if I get divorced tomorrow, I hope I don't. That's not the objective, obviously, but let's say I do. Tomorrow morning, she walks out. She's gone. Boom, she's gone. Most men cry. Now, I wouldn't have fun that day, obviously, but my sex life would continue without a problem because I have 2 other women. Let's say one of my FBs gets a boyfriend. She's gone. Bam. Still have 2 women in my sex life. I'm covered. Never rely on one source of anything for anything important. Sex, income, happiness, whatever it is, it doesn't really matter. 5 flags. Let's take this to the next level. So 5 flags, when I talk about 5 flags, and 5 flags is optional. It's not for most guys, but for some of you it might be. Instead of relying on one, what do most people do? They rely on one country for their entire life. Your income, your friends, your taxes, your health care, your investing. Everybody puts all this into one country, the country they happen to have been born into, which is stupid. So what does 5 flags do? 5 flags breaks out into several, right? Those are squares. And so instead of relying on one country, you rely on 3, 4, 5 different countries for different things. Okay? So let's say one country turns into a bunch of assholes, right? You have a serious problem with one country. Instead of saying, oh no, I'm screwed, which is what most people do, you should see the emails I got from guys in Italy when COVID-19 hit. They're like, I want to leave my country and I can't, they won't let me. Yeah, that's what happens when you rely on just one country. I'm not even doing 100% 5 flags yet. I'm already diversified into at least 3 different countries for 3 different things. As of next year, it'll be branched out into 4 or 5 different countries. So I'm going to be covered. I don't now need to worry about what any one country does because instead of relying on one, I rely on 3 or 4 or 5. Different diversified countries in different parts of the world run by different types of governments. Make sense? Now again, 5 flags is optional. A lot of guys don't need to do it. What you do need to do is everything in your life, women, business, income, infrastructure, whatever you need, rely on multiple sources instead of just one. If you want more information on how to do this, join smic.com. That is my membership and coaching program. If you have more information, you can go there. Otherwise, listen to this, think about it. I'm right about this. Have fun. Bye.